Hey, what's up everybody? This is the Classic Tycoon here, and today we're going to talk about building hyper twister roller coasters. I'm going to give you some tips on what I do to build a good hyper twister roller coaster. This is not a let's build. I'm not going to be going slowly on exactly what I'm doing and building, showing you exactly how to build this particular roller coaster. I'm just giving you kind of a guide to build your own designs and just my thought process on when I build these things. So generally with the station platform, I go up around 30 feet. You could probably go a little bit higher than that, honestly. Um, Maybe even more like 50 or even 60 feet, just because these roller coasters can end up too long or moving too quickly if you don't go high enough. But I usually build up to 240 feet, and the reason why I do that is now, as I look at this, this was a noob move. I built the roller coaster too close to the edge of the park, so we're gonna have to relocate it. But yeah, I usually build the initial chain lift hill up to 240 feet, and the reason why I do that is just because that's how the other hybrid twist roller coasters, when you look at Goliath, and I think Titan, and I think Nitro as well, I think they all go up to 240 feet. Those are the other Six Flags parks, by the way, that are put into the game. If you look at those, that's how high those go. So I figured that would be a good starting point. You could probably go a little bit higher if you wanted to, but that's just how I like to do it. So I go up to 240 feet and I do these, I don't know what you would call this, but they go from steep to flat in just one hit, and also going back up. And I think that that is better on the guests, and then just make sure that you can do whatever you want on at the top of the next hill. I often do these banked hills at the top, these banked turns. Just make sure that the roller coaster is going fast enough to make that. You don't want to make those too high. So I usually do a few of these airtime hills, is what you'd probably call them. A few of these to get it going. We'll do one more here. Back down and just make sure that they're low enough that the roller coaster can make them just fine. And we'll do a third hill right here, and at the top of this one I will put some brakes and some block brakes, and that will get us into the next section of the roller coaster. Now after the block brakes, I usually just start kind of making this a very twisty ride. So I'll start off with something like this, just some twists going down and just making sure the thing's going nice and fast, that there's lots of exciting things going on. Just, throw in some airtime hills like this every so often. And also really keep an eye on how high you're going with your drops as well as your inclines, because you don't want it going too fast or else it's going to get a high intensity rating. You also don't want it going too slow, or else it's easy to have these things not make the hill, and then you're going to have roller coasters going backwards and having crashes. So just be careful about those sorts of things. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of almost randomly just putting a bunch of twists and turns, going down and back up, just all over the place. And it usually works pretty well. So right here I'm going to put some more airtime hills. That's always exciting for the guests to do that. But if all you do is just put airtime hills, then usually it doesn't work out super well. So you want to make sure you have lots of these turns and just a lot of, as much variety as you can in a hyper twister roller coaster. There's not, all that you can really do with these things is do, big hills and turns and stuff like this, because there's no loops or anything available, which is fine. I mean, that's what the design of this roller coaster is. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. Make sure when you're wrapping up the roller coaster, again, this hill this station platform I put at 35 feet. The initial one I did 30 feet. Just make sure that you get to the station platform carefully, and just make sure all of your turns getting to it are banked if you feel like your roller coaster is going to be going fast. And then I always put in some block brakes, some brakes to slow it down, and then some block brakes. And that should be pretty good. So let's build the entrance here and the exit, and then we're going to decide on which trains to use. I like both of the trains, but you can see the excitement factor and the intensity factor. The extra wide trains have more of an excitement factor, so I mean that seems to be better to go with. Adjust the chain hill to as fast as it can go, which is 8 miles per hour, or else this thing's gonna take forever to get to the top of the hill, and you don't want that. All right, let's watch this thing and make sure that it's making all of the hills okay. So here's our initial drop. And that is a very nice speed that it went through at the top. You also don't want to make sure it's not going too fast over these hills, because that can cause some G-force problems on the guests. And I actually really liked the way that that went. It was nice and slow. That gives the guests a lot of airtime at the top. And all right, let's continue watching. So I'm really liking the speed of this roller coaster. It's looking really good. Yeah, this is good. I mean, this is pretty much exactly what you want the roller coaster to look like. It's not going way too fast over these hills. It's got kind of that stutter at the top, right? I mean, it just slows down, almost like it's going to stop, and then it goes over the hill. So that was great. I think that was very good. Everything's in the black, which is awesome. So let's wait for this excitement rating to pop up here. All right, this is very good. So without any scenery or anything, we're already at a 7.73 excitement rating and a nice low intensity rating. So let's throw in a bunch of scenery, starting with the entrance and the exit platforms. And then I'm going to recolor it. Some things that I like to do on Hyper Twister roller coasters is a lot of times I'll add support beams. So let's do that. Just recolor them to kind of match. I struggle a little bit. It sucks with the touch controls, honestly. It's kind of a pain. But, you know, it does make it look pretty good. So we'll go ahead and add some of that. Now this didn't really add too much excitement, but I did a little bit of this, and then I just moved on. So, but this is just an idea. So I would do this here and here, and then I would just continue all the way up to the top. And then at every block break section, I would put some supports and stuff. So let's add some trees. And then a really, really good way to increase your excitement rating is to actually put other roller coasters nearby. So I'm going to put one right there. And then let's go ahead and grab another roller coaster and just set one right here and see what that does. Alright, so there we go, guys. There is a Hyper Twister roller coaster. Our excitement rating is bumped up all the way to 8.34 with the additions of everything. So that's like more than half of a point all the way up. So that's great. Alright guys, there's my thought process on Hyper Twister roller coasters. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a like if it helped you out. Comment, let me know what you thought, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next video.